Birt. I'm from Gray, Georgia. I'm Team Pro Charger. I drive the Blake Housing built Tommy Yoma's own 2024 Camaro. I want to walk away to 150K. First of all, from Mr. Tommy Yomas. He puts a lot of money in this program, and I would love to do the win for him. I'm going to win the 150K. Got the best team out there. As long as I don't do that stupid, I think we can walk away with the money for sure. I keep hearing that Keith Haney chirp, 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 chirp. We can grudge race a Penta. We can grudge race qualify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for whatever money he's got. I know he sold his dealership. Bring some of that money because we need it in Georgia.
Hey, it's Justin and Laura and the Old Boots podcast, and we're really excited today to talk to Marcus Birt. Hey, Marcus.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, Marcus?
What's up, Jay?
Thank you for coming and doing the podcast with us. It was kind of short notice, and I've been talking about wanting to do the Axeman for a long time, and we finally were able to find an hour or so to get the Axeman to hang out with us. And we are down at the towing office down here, guys. So if you see all this wonderful stuff in the background, this is their eating area here at the towing company out on Emory Highway. So we appreciate you coming and doing this with us, Marcus, big time.
Marcus, Justin said, I want us to do the Axeman. I'm like, who is the Axeman? What is that? What is Axeman?
Man, it's just a name. Actually, a guy named Johnny Finn gave me this name probably 15 years ago. I was driving cars for different people. I never had the money back then to own my own car, so I drove for different guys, and I just was good on leaving the starting line, real good on the tree. So he come up, man, I think I'm gonna start calling you the Axeman. And this 25 years later, people still do it.
Still the Axeman.
Yeah.
Chopping wood, chopping the tree. There we go.
It down.
Good deal.
Well, I guess we should start maybe at the beginning, early in your life, where you came from, who you came from.
Yeah, I was born here in Macon, lived here, got 3 or 4 years old. My dad and my parents, we moved to Jones County. They just wanted to get to a little smaller town. My dad worked at the base. My mom done hair for a living, and went to Genesco, graduated in 1989. My class was the last year before the school actually closed down.
Gotcha.
Genesco Academy.
Genesco Academy. You were the final class to graduate from there? That's awesome. And for everybody that don't know, Genesco Academy is the school out on Highway 11. That's where the government center is now. That's what we call our government center in Jones County.
Government center.
It was Genesco School, and they had a baseball field and a football field?
Yeah, baseball, football. And the funny thing is when we went up there and voted this year, we had to go to Genesco. We had to go to school this year and voted. Walked in there, and I called my best friend, Craig. My parents raised him. And anyway, I called him. I was like, Craig, you ain't going to believe this. He's like, what? I said, my dad actually painted a 3-point line in high school. My 10th grade year, they started in basketball, you could shoot for 3 points.
Right.
My dad actually painted that line. Of course, I'm sure it's been painted since then, but I walked in and I saw that. I was like, man, that's kind of just cool to walk in there.
Oh, yeah.
Been there in 20 years and saw that sitting there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, because then with those with private schools like that, I mean, that's who it falls on is the parents to do that kind of stuff. And so when you were in high school, that's when they started 3 points.
Yeah.
Before then, it was just
year.
twos?
Yeah, it was just two. My 10th grade year started 3 points.
Wow. Man.
Did you play any sports at Genesco?
Yeah, you had to play. I played everything. I played basketball, football, baseball, run track, tried to play golf, but couldn't play golf.
Did you excel in any of those?
Yeah.
Or were you just good at all of them?
No, I was probably just decent at all of them. I played basketball's point guard, baseball played shortstop, and football played tailback, but played second string quarterback, and just I liked it all. I always liked doing sports. It's just fun back then. Everything was fun. I enjoyed school. What
coach did you were you under? Was it Bubba Williams?
Billy Bagwell.
Billy Bagwell.
Billy Bagwell.
Okay.
That was it.
Wow.
Billy Bagwell was the coach.
For everybody don't know, Billy Bagwell was the police chief in Gray, and he was just a local legend. So, may he rest in peace. He was a good guy. We lost him during the COVID era right there. So, but a real good guy. So, in high school, you played all those sports. You stayed busy. Was there ever kind of a love for cars at that point in time? Did you kind of have any kind of tingling in your spine for cars during that time?
Yeah, I always had a little fast little hot rods coming up. I remember my daddy telling me my daddy's had a 55 Chevrolet, and I always was some reason intrigued about the 4-speed ball, the little white ball. Have you ever seen in the car? I'd always want to reach and grab it. When I reached and grab it, my dad would stop the car, and of course it'd throw me to the seat.
Right.
He said, hey, I've done it 100 times a day. Every time I got it, I'd do that. And I guess it just went from there. He just my dad's always kind of been a car person, so he kind of started it all. He had some Camaros and the 55 Chevrolet and some Bell, so he kind of just started at home.
Right. And did he ever do any kind of drag racing or just kind of just
No,
like fast cars?
No, he didn't do drag racing. They done some running up and down the road. They
Right.
was probably doing something they wasn't supposed to.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly. You hear stories that may have happened.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
What was your first car?
My first car, believe it or not, my very first car was a 1991 Camaro, IROC Camaro.
Wow.
Yep,
That's a nice car.
It was a nice car.
And that was, you started driving in what year?
I was driving in 1985.
Okay. I got you.
85.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So a real nice one then.
It was nice. Yeah, it was nice.
Very nice car. What color?
Dark blue.
Did you pick it out or it's something?
It's not my dad. Dad
Got
picks
it
it up
for
for
you?
me. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's
Wouldn't
awesome.
put headers on it. You know, just normal boy stuff. You know, I love the car. It was a fun car. I wish I could find it. That's on where it's at now. Probably a junkyard somewhere.
Oh yeah. So, you know, I guess, was that like the cool car in high school? Was there like a little, a couple of y'all that had some real hot rods? Did you, maybe, and your brother Craig there, did Craig have a real nice one too?
Yeah. Well, no, back then, believe it or not, Craig was in the stereos. He had a Buick Regal with the back seat slap full of 18-inch speakers. When he come to the school, knocking the windows down, everybody knew what Craig was coming up.
And for everybody that don't know, and I'm sure Craig will come into the story here in just a little bit, but Craig is, he owns H&H Body Shop in Macon, and Craig's been his crew chief and his lifelong bestie there, and he's just a cool guy, and I'm sure we're about to hear some stories about Craig too. So
Yeah, Craig's been a part of my life since we were probably 7 years old. My mom and Craig's mom were best friends, and we lost Craig's mom. She went in to have just a heart catheter, and she ended up having a heart attack. And long story short is my family kind of took Craig in, and we've been like brothers ever since. We've done everything you could imagine me and him's done together.
wow. Oh yeah, and ain't no telling the stories y'all could tell.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're still doing it right now. Even now, if there's a race in Texas, Craig's driving the rig out there, right?
Yeah,
he's the guy.
There. He's going to get it out there.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be clean when he gets there. And one thing about him, he has got to be the cleanest person I've ever met in my life. He is a clean freak, which I love it. He's not going to have none of my stuff dirty. I tell you, he's going to get it clean, and it's going to smell good when you walk in the camper.
And their shop, when you go to their shop, they have painted floors. Okay, I'm talking about polyurethane, clear-coated floors. It's mopped. It's clean. You could probably eat off the floor and be fine in there. Their shop is amazing, where they keep the cars and that kind of stuff. So Craig is always, he's always been a clean guy. Even at his house, he's got a clean little man cave outside. So I guess in high school you didn't go to college?
No, I didn't go to college.
Okay. What would you say is your first like big boy job that you had coming out of high school there?
Actually, go back to Craig.
Okay.
He was working at the golf course at River North, and he was like, "Man, you want to come out and get a job at River North?" I'm like, "Yeah." During high school summertime, I'd go. He was a year ahead of me, so I'd go out there in River North in the summertime and work at the golf course. And then, actually, my parents ended up buying a gym when I graduated. So my very first, I guess, real job was we had a gym in Gray called Fitness Factory, and we had it for probably 7 or 8 years till my mom passed away, and then my dad sold the gym.
Gotcha. Okay. And during that time, you doing any kind of racing at that point in time?
We were doing some street stuff and going to the track a little bit. Craig actually found some Camaro he bought. Man, we thought it was the best thing ever. I think it ran like 12 seconds and 8 back then. I think we could almost walk that fast. And we thought we were doing something. We had fun. We pulled that thing on an open trailer, man, with the 5 gallons of gas, and we thought we were the kings.
Oh yeah,
we were horrible. we were horrible back then.
Now, we hadn't made it to the yellow Camaro yet, right? That's not it. That's not what you're talking about.
This thing was a brown Camaro.
And for people that are listening, I'll make sure that we get plenty of pictures and show you some pictures of what he's talking about as he goes through his story. But I know they had a yellow Camaro that was probably in the beginnings of me knowing you.
Yeah.
And boy, that thing was nice. That was fast. Of course, not fast compared to what y'all do now, but it was fast.
It was fast. It was fun. Back then, you could go, oh man, let's put our money together. $500-800 you could almost build a motor for. Now
Yeah.
Now $500 won't buy a tire.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah. And in between each one of those, each one of the runs, when y'all go racing now, I mean, you were pretty much rebuilding the motor every single run. Is that right? Is that what they do?
Yeah, you got them things on the edge every pass. If you're going to win or be in the top competitive, you're going to stand on them. And when you stand on them, you're going to break stuff or not really break. I guess you just weaken the rings. And so they'll pull them down and put rings in the motors.
I got you. Yeah. If you've ever been out there to their, to the drag strip with them, it just blows my mind. Craig and them, of course, he does it and he can do it without gloves on, and he won't have any oil on his fingertips or anything like a mechanic would have. He will tear that whole car down and put it right back together. Won't have no oil on his clothes or anything, and he just does it a real clean way. Craig and all the guys over there, Eddie, all the guys doing it.
So how did Craig become the mechanic and you become the driver?
Craig actually went to Riverside Ford. They put him through a really good tech school of their deal, and Craig's kind of like my dad and Craig were way more like each other than me and Daddy. And of course, my daddy's not Craig's, but my daddy and Craig were like two peas in a pod. He taught Craig how to do brakes, and I'd go home. I'd be out with my girlfriend, come home like 10, 11 o'clock. My daddy and Craig would be upstairs back then with some kind of speaker box singing Kenny Rogers. I'm like, cuz y'all don't have nothing better doing life than sitting there and singing to each other. I mean, it was just a mess. And like I said, my dad was always a really good mechanic, and he kind of just taught Craig to start with.
Right.
And then how did you become the driver?
I guess I was the dumb one. I was the one that didn't know anything about a car and just to stand on it and just hold on.
You didn't mind going fast.
No, I didn't mind going fast. Craig was talking about, man, do you hear that thing making any kind of noise? I'm like, it didn't make no noise to me when the rods hung out the bottom of the motor. He's like, well, you should have heard us. I didn't hear nothing.
So, I guess you're 55 now, so that means you probably started dragging and making a little bit of noise in the drag stripping area. You said about 25 years ago, you were 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a family at that point in time?
I actually, I had just started dating Melanie, which is my daughter's mom. We had dated for a year or so. I met a guy named Steve Kirk who done one of my very first motors way back when in a red Camaro I had, and me and him hit it off really good. He would build cars from A to Z, the whole car, motor, transmission, car, and all. Well, I got where I'd go test the cars for customers, so he'd build a car for a customer in California or wherever the customer's from. We'd go to the track and spend 3 days with him. I would drive the car just to work all the bugs out of the car, make sure it goes straight. You kind of make sure, and then they would just kind of do the deal, and the car would go on. He'd done that for, I guess I'd done that for 2 or 3 years, and then I got a ride with a team, VIP Racing. I drove for them for about 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Then it really took off.
Yeah, and so you were their kind of hired gun. They had the money, and you had the know-how, and you were driving for them, and we're looking back and I see a bunch of old articles and stuff. Is this where you kind of come up on the radar a little bit with drag racing and kind of thing?
I think in 2000, maybe 3 or 4, I set the world record in a car. It was called Outlaw 10.5 back then. You had to run like a 10-inch tire on the car. Any motor combination, it didn't matter.
Right.
I set the world record, and it held for 2 or 3 years, and just we ran good. We run 3 or 4 championships, in 3 years in a row. And that team funding went away. And then a guy named Tim Tidwell called me. He's known out of Florida. He's got a big construction company, 300 or 400 employees. And he called me up, and I wasn't going to race anymore. I was like, man, I got my family. I had Harley by then. And I was like, man, I'm just going to go get a real job. This racing stuff is not a real job, Melanie used to say. So I was like, I'm going to go get a real job. Well, we used to always play tricks on each other, me and the guys that race. We'd call each other and say such and such is going on. And we'd stay in a hotel. We was always together as the same crew. So all the guys would go to a hotel, and we would always bang on the door. And if you were dumb enough to open your door, you was finna get soaked with a trash can full of ice water. So we were doing that at hotels all over the Southeast. So I got a phone call from Tim. He goes, hey, my name's Tim. You raced at my track a few months ago. I want to see if you're interested in driving a brand new car I'm building. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. I just blowed him off.
Right.
Well, I actually thought it was a guy named Johnny Finn, the guy that called me the Axeman. I thought it was him messing with me. Long story short is he called me again. He's like, I'm going to send my pilot to pick you up at Herbert Smart Airport and want you to come spend the weekend, you and your wife. We'll just kind of see what we can do. I'm like, man, this guy's full of shit. Somebody's messing with me. When I find out who it is, I'm going to kill him.
Right.
Because, I started thinking, man, is this really true? Because I knew who the guy was somewhat. I didn't really know him, like, personally.
Right. You just knew
he
of
owned
him.
a big business and a bunch of racetracks.
Right.
So you were kind of getting excited.
I was kind of getting excited, but then I wasn't. I was like, somebody's messing with me, and I'm going to kill when I find out who it is. I knew it was one of my buddies doing it to me.
Right.
Well, long story short, we go out there. His plane picks us up. Me and Melanie fly to Florida. Go to his house. He lives in Santa Rosa Beach. So we talk, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Well, I had committed to Kurt, the guy that built the cars.
Right.
I was going to go, and I said, for 1 year, I'm going to drive the cars that you build, and I'm not going to race no more. So I told Tim what I was going to do. He said, well, I said, I kind of verbally committed to him. He's my buddy. I really don't want to go against him. He was like, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'll give you $10,000 right now. Now, back then, $10,000 was like $1 million to me.
Right.
I didn't have nothing. He said, I'll give you $10,000 and I'll put you on my company's payroll at $1,000 a week, and you get 20% of what the car makes. I said, shit, where do I sign at? He said, you don't sign, just shake my hand. I shook his hand and drove for him for like 5 years.
And it was on.
It was on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Now, did your other friend get mad, or
He
did
he got mad. Not like mad I'd done it, but he was kind of mad because he had a little plan for all of us too. But I was like, Stevie, I got a family.
Absolutely.
I got to think about the kid. I got to think about Harley and Melanie.
Yeah. This was your opportunity to have a real job and then also be able to do your dream job.
Yeah, this
too.
was like a real job, and like I'd fly out of town. I thought we'd fly out of town like Tuesday, fly back into town late Sunday, early Monday. By the time Melanie washed clothes, I was flying back out of town Tuesday or Wednesday, back racing again. I think we did 40 races back then, which is that's a lot. People don't realize there's 52 weeks in a year. I'm racing 40 of them, so we were gone a lot. But I really enjoyed it. He's a great guy. I actually still talk to him and his wife, and they're good, really, really good people. They're the ones that really put me to the level of racing that I never would have had if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you talking about leaving on Tuesdays and going out, and I didn't know this, and I would never know this if I didn't know you and Craig, but there's all those big races. Y'all leave out on a Monday or Tuesday, and y'all go down there, and you're practicing all week long, making practice laps or not laps, but runs or whatever, and tuning the car, getting it ready, that kind of thing. You can do all that and get down to the point of that first race, and you can have to put it right back on the trailer right after that first race.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I'm telling you, man, we'd go down there, and Craig used to get so mad, man, we'd go down there, cars running, decent. It's top 5 cars. We were running good, go to first round, go up there, just, the hardest thing in drag racing is the first round.
Right.
If you get by the first round, it's like cakewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Adrenaline pumping, you running somebody over here, there shouldn't even be in the same ball field as you. You're number 1, they're number 16. Get up there and boom, go red. You like.
what does that mean? What does go red mean?
That means you leave before the start and you're disqualified. No matter what you do, if you red light, it's over. It don't matter if the other dude comes and hits you or flips his car 100 times. If you leave on that start line and your red light comes on, it's over.
And that's where Marcus kind of excels. Is he's got a really good
You got a good instinct for the green.
For the green.
Yes, and it's almost like, it's good, but it almost gets you in trouble. Because, during the day, if you're cutting, just say 05 lights, which is about perfect, and then as soon as it gets dark, your lights are going to be better, and, man, you'll go red in a heartbeat. That red will get you.
That's a lot of pressure on a driver. Just, driving for somebody like Tidwell or driving for you, doing it right now, that's a lot of pressure because, people have taken off from their regular jobs, and went down on a Tuesday, and y'all are $10,000 in on lodging and food and gas to get down there and that kind of thing. And that's a lot of pressure first race.
That first round, I don't. And if you ask anybody at drag race, it's always they say first round. I guess it's just the jitters of, thing about drag racing. There's 50 or 100 cars trying to get into a 16-car field,
right?
And don't nobody come there to go, well, I don't want to get in,
right?
These people are multi-millionaires. It's like big corporation businesses that support these things, and the last thing they're gonna do is not try to win or get in that race. You want to be, in the top half of the field qualifying for sure. So that first round should be a dud, but it ain't no duds no more. Everybody's fast.
Everybody's got good stuff.
Number 16 guy is just as fast. He's just had maybe bad luck, bad streak that weekend or something, but you just can't take any of them for granted. They will put your ass on that trailer in a heartbeat.
And
do you still haul on a trailer or
Well, it's an 8. It's
a
a big.
flatbed, or
No,
do
it's
you
an
have
8.
you have a hauler
Yes,
now?
a hauler now. It's a big total
Yeah.
home and hauler. Yeah.
So
oh yeah, they look like Jeff Gordon now. They
Yeah.
they got it going on when they pull into a into the place now.
Yeah, it's big. It's big and expensive.
big and expensive.
Yeah.
When you quit driving for Tidwell, what happened after that?
All right, I quit driving for Tim. This is a story, Tim. All right, we was getting us like our 5th year. You know, Harley was getting up in age. I had missed, I probably missed the first 3 or 4 years of birthdays because his birthday was always in the summer. You know, we had to work our birthday around my racing. I just said, I'm gonna, take a couple years off, focus on the businesses, and just see where it takes me. And Tim was like, that's fine. His business had got to the point where it was still very, very successful, but it wasn't near what it was when we started. So he was going to start driving that next year. Well, always, NHRA's Gator Nationals is always the first race of the year. Big, huge race. Everybody likes the Gator Nationals for NHRA.
Right.
Well, he goes out there and barrel rolls it 30-something times.
Oh my goodness!
And I was like, man, good Lord. I mean, he was in the hospital. He wasn't hurt bad, but he was kind of shook up a little bit for a couple of weeks in the hospital. And I was like, good Lord, just take care of him. Don't want nothing to happen to him. And then I start looking at like life, middle 30s, I'm still decent at this stuff. What do I want to do? I said, man, it's in my blood. I just, teams would call and they'd pick you up and say, you want to ride for the weekend? I'd go drive for several different teams, out that year. And then I got to the point where I could financially fund my own car. Dumbest thing I ever done. Hands down, I've done some dumb stuff, but owning a race car is the dumbest thing any person in this world could be because you're never going to make any money. I don't care if they say they're going to pay you $400,000 in one race. You're not going to make any money. You're going to spend the money. You're going to tear it up. You're going to be stressed out about it all the time. And man, it was horrible.
Because there's never a good enough in racing. You're always trying to get that extra little edge.
That's the problem.
2 1,000ths of a second is
exactly
a big deal.
That's
right?
exactly the problem. You always want to get, I went, 390 at 210. I want to go 385. To go from 390 to 385 is $200,000.
Right.
And better hope you don't tear nothing up in the meantime.
Exactly.
We started back then. We started running really good. I got Craig to get a hold of a guy named Stevie Jackson and Jeffrey Barker, which is a good friend of mine here. He lives here in Warner Robins. He's an excellent tuner. His family owns a bunch of dealerships, or had a bunch of dealerships at the time. We started running with them, man. We come out. I got an article somewhere. First pass out. Stevie goes, I'm not going to mess with the tune-up. I want to work on the car. I never really had nobody work on the car side. It's always a tune side. He said, I ain't worried about the tune-up. That's easy to me. I want to get the chassis right. We blast off very first pass. I'm talking about very first pass that he done the car, set the world record.
Wow.
But not set the world record. We were testing. So, of course, it didn't stick.
Right.
I was like, holy snap. I said, Craig, we've got something here. So the next pass, made another pass, same thing. The third pass, he said, all right, we finna stand on it this time. So third pass, I take off down through there. We're in Orlando, Florida. The throttle sticks.
Oh.
I go through the traps, pull the chute. My normal stuff, I've done it a million times. Pull the chutes, the car's wide open. I'm probably running, 220 at this time. And everybody knows Orlando's a very short track.
Right.
So I got the chutes out. The cars don't even know the chutes are behind me.
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
hauling butt down through there. I just freaking kill the car, throw it neutral, cut the car off. Getting close to this, kind of locked the car down, flattened all the tires, didn't hit anything. I was like, cuz that shit was cool as hell. Hey, it probably cost me $5,000, but I was like, hell with it, man. That shit right there was badass. But let's go home, y'all. We got a race car.
It's definitely tuned. We're good.
It's ready. It's ready.
Now, was that the black Corvette or the red Corvette? Or
That was the black Corvette.
the black Corvette.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was going to say, so Stephen, is he related to Jerry Barker?
No, Stevie Jackson and Jeffrey Barker are really good friends.
Okay.
Jeffrey Barker is related to Jerry Barker. That's his dad.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's his dad. Jeffrey is Jerry's son.
Because, I've done like 500 remotes for Jerry Barker. when he had the
Oh, yeah.
Chevrolet
Yeah, super.
dealership, and
His son
knew him a long time.
is probably one of the best to do it I've ever seen.
And-
Tuned and just a great, very. Stevie, on the other hand, he's wanting to batter up and knock it out of the park and turn everybody's head. Jeffrey's a really smart racer, very, very smart when it comes to racing. He knows the moves to make. Just a good racer. Very
Are
good
you
racer.
still working with those guys?
No,
No.
I've always run nitrous. All these guys are nitrous cars. Well, 2 years ago, a gentleman come to me locally here, super good guy, Tommy Yeomans. They run a Pro Charge deal car instead of a nitrous deal. Never even sat in a Pro Charge car. Didn't know about them. They just loud as hell. Didn't know a whole lot about them. He come to me, it's like, hey, I'm looking for a driver. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind, doing a little something, because I was trying to run a couple businesses. I didn't have really time to go race. I didn't really have the money to race my car the way I wanted to. So I just kind of put it to the side. I started driving for Tommy. As soon as I drove for Tommy the first race, I found out my dad had cancer. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the first race. I'm like, Daddy's sick, he's in the hospital, I may sit this out. And he was like, I understand. I went to the hospital. I was like, Daddy, Tommy Yeomans asked me to drive. I think I'm just going to tell him I'm going to sit here and see how you are first, because they just had found out the cancer, but they didn't know how bad it was. He was like, no, go race. He said, I want you to race. He said, I think you'll win it. Never sat in this gentleman's car in my life. Never seated for it, nothing. Went straight to Alabama, set the world record in that car and won the race.
Really? Wow.
Well, I know your dad was proud.
Oh, yeah. I was so excited. I left the race we were in Still, Alabama. I left the race at, 12, 1, 2 o'clock. Me and Christy drove all the way home. I never went to sleep. Drove all the way home. Went straight to the hospital. I parked my motorhome in the middle of the road where the medical center is. I called Thomas Goss and said, "Hey man, don't let anybody take my motorhome. I got to take my daddy's trophies."
Right. There you go.
We were right in there.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. I remember you putting that on Facebook right there.
Yeah,
You took him the
right
trophy.
in the middle of the road, and I said, "Man, if they tow it, hell with it. I know tow companies.
That's right.
I better get it back."
Wow.
I know that he was so proud.
That was probably one of my best moments.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And the and so the difference when you say with that Pro Charge versus nitrous is shooting gas to the car.
Correct.
Pro Charge is shooting air to the car.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
All right, that doesn't make any sense to me. So tell me what that means, shooting air.
Well, it's like a turbo car. It's just got a propeller on it, and it draws air in as you go down the track. Whereas nitrous is putting gas in each cylinder.
Gotcha.
I didn't know. I didn't know a lot about the Pro Charge stuff. I knew they were coming along fast. It's kind of a new deal they were doing, and man, they're fast. They are fast.
So another thing that I see, and I've never understood it myself, and so now I'm kind of glad I get to ask this question. But I guess 5 or 6 years ago, most people when they're watching TV, they see these huge tires on these cars. Well, 5 or 6 years ago or so, y'all started doing radials, these little bitty tires on these cars, right? And so, but that's a whole series that does that, or a whole different division that does that.
That's a whole series and the thinking of it in your mind as a racer, you're like, it's a joke. It'll never work.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see these guys run these numbers. You're running from a slick tire car, which is slicks, of course, no grooves in it, to a radial tire, which is kind of like a radial tire on a car.
Right.
You're like, man, there's no way this thing will work. The tire's half the size, which is half the weight, so it's lighter. Man, these things are remarkable how fast they are. They either go or don't go. There's no in between. You either go out there and it'll stick the car good and you'll haul butt, or you'll smoke the tires. The technology. I never would have thought they could make a tire this fast. We set the world record. We set the world record 3 different times with radial tires.
Wow. The first time was with the black Corvette.
The first time was with the black Corvette. The second time was with the black Corvette. The third time was with the Corvette, but the third time we were trying to break our record.
Right.
They were giving us like $10,000 to break our record, so we said, well, hell, let's just go for it. Well, them guys, that's another son of Stevie. He's wanting to bat it up, so we batted up. All right, I take off. We're in South Georgia. I take off. I fill the car, start riding the wheelie. I'm like, all right, now. So I should have got out of the car. Well, I kind of just popped the throttle. I kind of just got off the throttle a little bit to let the nitrous cut off. And when I stood back in it, all the converter locks the car up and the nitrous on. It just kind of slingshotted the car, man. I took off like a daggum airplane.
Whew. That was your first big wreck right there.
That's the wreck. That's the only one I've ever had. That's the only wreck. And man, my daughter was there, and I was like, Lord, just please. I've been doing it so long. I've seen so many. I was like, Lord, just don't let me get over this wall, because if you get over the wall, you're in trouble. You're going to go barrel rolling for sure. And I just, it kind of took off. I'm like, I'm scared. Anybody that knows me, I'm terrified of heights.
Absolutely.
Anybody that knows me, I won't stay over in a hotel on the third floor. I'm not staying over it. I don't know what it is. My other life must have plane crashed or something, but I'm terrified of heights. So this thing's up in the air, and it's like, I'm like, damn, I'm up in the air high. So I'm kind of looking at the air, and I see the car, it happened so quick, but it's like it was slow motion to me. So I said, well, if I get the car gets to the ground and I could zap the throttle, it should spin me back straight, because I was at a 45 towards the other wall, and I knew I was going to be in a mess. So I'm kind of sitting there, and I guess I just got lucky, and I stopped the gas, and as soon as it landed, it kicked the car back straight. It didn't even touch no walls or nothing.
Yeah, and the only thing that was messed up on it was like the hood or something.
The hood,
is that right?
Well, when it landed, it broke the front part of the chassis. They had to front clip it, but it didn't tear anything up. It probably would have been a normal fix. Would probably been, $10 grand, $15 grand. It cost me. I ended up spending like almost $50 because I had another big race in 10 days.
Right.
So then guys had to work around the clock to fix it.
Right. Well, thinking about that black car, I don't know a whole lot about the drag racing world, but I remember that black car like it was yesterday when y'all got it. That the guy come and delivered it to you guys out there on Gray Highway.
Yep.
And they dropped that off, and I mean, everybody's mouth was just dropping like, oh my God, Marcus has got a rocket ship getting delivered right here.
He had a rocket ship and a bill behind that rocket ship, too. I think I had 4 or 5 credit cards, and every one of them were maxed out. Like, Mr. Birt, your credit card. I'm like, I got you coming next week. I think I had like $80,000 in credit card debt. I'm like, It's like smoking crack, I guess. I guess that was my drug.
I can remember one of the things, and this was it. It was black. It was just black. It got off the truck, and it was nothing but black. But I can remember that it had one sticker on it, and it was Popeye on the blower.
Musi.
Pat Musi.
That's my man.
And so, what? How does Pat Musi come into this, and what does he do for the drag racing world?
Man, believe it or not, me and Melanie, this is how long ago, me and Melanie were dating. I went to Commerce, Georgia. I don't know if y'all remember big track in Commerce, Georgia, real popular.
Right.
I wasn't even driving back then. I was young. I mean, maybe just out of high school. Met Melanie. I said, let's go watch a race one time. I always liked racing. My dad would go up there. Anyway, me and her go up there. We walk around. We meet Pat Musi. I was like, that's Pat Musi, man. That's Pat Musi. He's like my idol.
Right.
Like, super good guy. He back in the era, he was the best to ever do it. Hands down the best. He done fuel injection 15 years before anybody thought about fuel injection.
Right.
So we met, we talked. Years went on. I still got the picture of me and him. Years went on. I had the opportunity. They're like, well, okay, what kind of motor are you going to put in this car? I'm like, man, there's only one person I'm going with. Right. I said, I probably can't afford it, but I'm getting Pat Musi motors somehow. These motors are 900 cubic inch motors. They're $150 a piece. They ain't like the cheap motors, So me and him built this relationship, man, and still to this day, we're like the best buddies. He is phenomenal. Great person. He had a rough past couple of years. He lost his daughter. She was a really great racer, done Street Outlaws. She ended up getting breast cancer and passed away, I guess, maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
or so.
It was very recently.
Yeah, his life was racing. That's all he did for a living, and his daughter drove for him. So imagine his whole world got turned upside down.
Oh yeah, that's just you can't imagine something like that.
I couldn't do it.
Ooh. And he's the Elvis Presley or whatever of race car engines, right?
He's the man. He's the best, hands down, the best to ever do it.
So I can remember something happening. You guys were way out of town somewhere, maybe Darlington or somewhere.
We were. I think we were. We were. Well, he's in North Carolina, so I want to say he was like 14 hours from where
y'all
we
were in
was
Florida,
at.
I think. Then.
Yeah. So we make a pass, another one of these deals, we're going to stand on it and show everybody we got the big kahunas. Well, we tear it up.
Right.
So by
at
this
a huge
time,
race that is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, $150,000 race.
Yes.
So at this time, I finally got a guy to help me with the car.
Right.
He owns House and Auto Auction. Another like angel in disguise for me. He's been like a dad to me. I call him up. He's like, "What you doing, boy?" "Oh, boy, always what you doing, boy? Just country, man. Just you wouldn't think he had $1 to his name. You wouldn't think he had 50 cents to his name." So I'm like, "Dad, I done messed up." He's like, "What'd you do?" I said, "We done tore the motor up." He said, "You ain't even raced yet." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. I know this. You ain't got to tell me. I know we ain't raced. Like second round of qualifying. We had 8 rounds of qualifying. We like second round." He goes, "What you going to do?" I said, "Hell, I'm going to pack up and come home." He's like, "Can you get another motor?" I'm like, "I'm sure I can." He said, "Well, call and see." I said, "Huh?" I mean, this is like
Right.
this is like 165,000.
Yes.
He said, "Call and see." So shit, he had to tell me once. I didn't ask him, "Huh? Are you sure?" Man, I had Christy. I says, "Get Pat on the phone right now."
Right.
So Christy calls Pat, and he goes, "This is like 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night."
Right. And the race is the next night.
The race is the next night. Yeah.
Right.
So I called Pat. I was like, "Pat, I need a motor." He was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "I need a motor. Do you got one?" He's like, "No." I said, "Pat, I need a motor." He said, I tell you what, for you, I got one."
Right.
I said, "Well, there's only one problem." He's like, "What?" I said, "We got to work all night to get everything out, swapped over, for the motor." He said, "I'll get it to you." I said, "You going to bring it?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll get it to you." So they load this motor up at 11 o'clock at night from North Carolina and drive it all the way where we're at.
Wow.
That's a friend in the racing business right there.
Yes, it is.
Hey, this man, which, I mean, anybody knows me, I'm going to do the right thing in life, didn't pay him, just bought me a brand new motor and said, "Get with me next week." I'm like, "You damn dummy," but okay. He brought me the motor and we put it in there. We end up having an electrical problem. I think we won maybe 1 or 2 rounds. We didn't win the race, but man, it's one of them stories like you know somebody's word is gold for this man to get out of the bed.
Yep.
There wasn't an intake or nothing, but you don't know. There wasn't an intake or nothing on the motor. He gets out of bed at 11 o'clock, goes to his shop, finishes assembling this motor, probably took him another 2 hours, loaded in a damn Mazda truck, and gets his main guy to bring it all the way where we're at.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's crazy, man.
That's a little legend, a local legend here in racing, because I go out to eat Friday night and I sit down next to somebody that knows Marcus that's in the racing world, and we got to talking about racing, and I was like, "You know Marcus Birt?" Yeah, I do. He said, "Man, that's the only man ever to get Pat Musi to bring him a motor all the way across the country."
And he did. And, you don't forget things like that in life. Yeah. Me and Pat I consider him a really good friend of mine. And, when Lizzie got sick, I can tell you, I text him like every day and say, "Man, just stay positive. Just pray about it. It is what, what's going to happen. Just hope for the best." He said, "Man, I don't want her suffering." They thought they sent her to some cancer place like I don't know, somewhere here in the States, but it's top of the line. She was in great shape. So it's hard to get in this place with what the cancer she had because it was stage 4. She ended up going there. There really wasn't a whole lot they could do. So then she went out of the country and they tried some experimental stuff and just nothing. Right. It just wasn't meant to be, man. And, it's terrible because you had this girl that was, first of all, drop dead gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I mean, she could have been a model on a cover of any magazine in the world. Right. And you just never know, when it's your time or what's going to happen to you in life. So you got to try to, live the best of it.
Yeah. You got to leave it on the field.
You got to have fun. You got to have fun, raise a little hell, cry, have fun, and just go through life.
That's right. That's right. Well, talking about, talking about her being in the hospital and stuff, part of the show is us talking about positive things and raising money and doing charity. And I know that Marcus, because he's got a heart of gold, has done charity before we started doing things. I mean, I've known Marcus for 15, 20 years, and when it's time to raise some money for Children's Church or to build something for the kids or something like that, Marcus is the very first one to throw.
He's on board.
A check on the stage, So, but about it was in 2022. It was our first year. 2021. It was our first year for Miracle Treat Day, and I had a thing that I wanted to do and raise $50,000. Marcus was the very first person that jumped up and said, "Well, I want in. I don't know what in means, but I want in. I want in." And so Marcus was the very first person that committed to matching an hour of sales for the Beverly and Adults and Children's Hospital for Miracle Treat Day, and he has been a part of it ever since, doing that same thing. And he is actually the person that I got the idea from for matching the hours right there. So
That is awesome.
that all come from Marcus. So
I truly believe you got to, you ain't given to get anything out of it. Like still to this day, I can remember I was going through a divorce, had a real rough time, getting a divorce. It really wasn't something I should have done. But anyway, we went through a divorce, and Caleb, and that's been, God, me and Mel has been divorced 20 years, 20-something years, and I have donated, didn't have it for some reason. Every year I started like $50 for Caleb, and now I'm up to like, I want to say it's $450 a month, and they just automatically draft out of my account.
Oh, yeah.
They'll call every year. I'll call when they hear them start doing Caleb. I try to up it and just go with what you do. You just want to help people, man. You don't want to go through life and, having the opportunity to help someone and not help them. I'm a believer in if you got it, you got to just help people.
Right.
I'm one type. If I hit the lottery today, I'd probably be broke in 4 years because I'd be drag racing and giving it away.
That's right.
You just but you want to give it to the people that need it, and you can tell somebody when they're truly appreciative of what you do than just saying it. I'm a true believer in helping people.
And talking about helping people and just and being in the drag racing world, Mike Hill.
Mike Hill, that's another one.
He's one of your brothers.
He's one of my buddies, man. Me and him go back. Me and him used to go at it because he was a great driver. Back when the Kurt era, when I was driving for Steve Kurt and the cars, and Kurt was a good driver. Man, it would be 4 or 5 good drivers, and they would go, and these guys would come up to you and go, man, you just made me $20,000. I'm like, $20,000? What the hell did I do? They would be gambling all this money on the side.
Oh.
You believe that much in me?
I'm like, cuz, you crazy. $20,000. Woo. But, Mike Hill, he still to this day promotes races. I went on board with him this year, and I'm kind of help sponsoring a whole series that he's doing.
Right.
Just because he gives back to the community. He's a good guy. He does it. I'm not saying not for money because you have to make money, but it ain't when you drag race or have anything to do with it ain't about money because it's just there's no money there.
Yep.
There's no money there. He puts on these races, like he'll promote a race. Say there's a race coming to Reynolds, Georgia. Well, he'll promote this race for 2 or 3 months, hard, spend $10,000, $15,000 in advertising, passing out flyers, radio ads, whatever the case may be. All of a sudden, it rains it out.
Yeah.
He's out of everything.
Right.
There's no end to it. He don't have nothing. So, it's just hard to be a promoter because you can't predict the future of, the weather or whatever the case may be. And a couple of years ago, he had a bad, I said, man, keep your head up. You're going to do it. You're Mike Hill. You'll be fine. He started the series 2 years ago, man, and it's unbelievable now.
Right.
Last race, I want to say, he paid, man, he never thought in his life he paid out $85,000 to win a race, and the place is packed full of people because, he's got a good following now because when he puts on a race, he puts on a good show. He puts on a good show for the fans. He's back by, like I said, giving to the fans, giving out shirts, having just dumb drivers give our stuff away, He just gives a lot back to the racing community.
Yeah, and I mean, and when you're genuine, when you're a genuine giver, which I can see when you guys do one of those races, there's always around Christmas time, it's, hey, admission to the race, bring a toy and drop it off in the box or so. There's always something that you guys are doing like that. And I've never been around Mike much, but I know that he's got a huge heart because I see, what he does, and I pay attention to those little small things, but I believe, me and you have done a lot of different things through our tenure. Right. When I first met Marcus, he was a FedEx driver. Okay.
Oh, yes,
that was when I first met him. How old was you then?
My mom died in 91. I was probably 23,
right.
24.
Yeah. And when I first met him then, and so through progression, all of a sudden, years later, he's got this contract with a pressure washer that he is washing the entire FedEx fleet for Central Georgia at multiple terminals, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've watched Marcus grow and grow and grow through things, but it's because you're a giver. It's because you do it with a pure heart.
Right.
And, a lot of people can't understand how one man can just do a little bit of anything and it works out for him, but that's because he's a giver. And behind the scenes, I can't tell you how many times Marcus has, did things for kids. If there's a kid in need,
He's there.
he's there.
We're gonna do what we gotta do
Yeah,
to help it for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely, no
And
doubt.
it's funny. You said I had an employee come up to me last week. He goes, "Man, I've had 6 or 7 jobs. This guy's older than me. He works for me. He's been with me probably 10 years." He goes, "But I ain't trying to hurt your feelings." He's about, "You about the worst boss I've ever had." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've never had a boss that will get out there and work with us like you do.
Right.
Like I get to work a wreck. I'm out there picking up parts. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just trying to
Right.
get it done." And he's like, "Man, I've never had a boss in my life that works like you." I'm like, "Well, why would I ask you to do something that I wouldn't do?
Right.
I'm not going to ask you to get out there and pick up stuff on side of the road or in the road with cars coming by, and I'm not going to stand right there by you. If I'm not picking up, I'm watching traffic or something for y'all. I mean, y'all are like, we're family. It's a business.
Right.
I got to be a boss, but at the same time, there's something there that you're appreciative of all my people here."
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I always say you spend more time with your fellow workers and your employees than you do your actual family. And if you can't love your employees, who can you love? 'Cause
And Jay Kelly's exactly the same way.
Oh,
I
yeah.
promise you.
I know.
Because he'll be out there. I mean, he's out there in that drive-through with that little notepad.
I see him all the time.
I talked about on Miracle Treat Day, it had rained the day before, and some guy comes out there and gets his truck stuck in the mud. And I look out, and there's Justin out there. He's pushing that guy's truck out of the mud.
I know. You ain't telling me. I know him like a book.
Yeah.
I know him.
So that's something you guys definitely have in common.
We both got a pretty good work ethic, I'd say.
Yes,
There's a lot of
you do.
people that work ethic. I'm not the best by no means, but I'd put myself beside anybody as far as working, because I'm going to work, and if you want something in life, you got to work. It ain't going to be given to you. If you want it given to you, it's just a crappy way to get it, and just. I think you'd appreciate it and pass it on to your generations of
Right.
kids or grandkids of just hard work. You got to, not the smartest person in the world. You got to be able to work hard.
Yep.
So,
I do think it instills a sense of loyalty in employees, and they do feel like they're working alongside of you instead of working for you.
I agree.
And it builds some good camaraderie and some good things.
Yep.
Yeah, they, with just leading by example, Marcus, he gets up and he'll get up here at like 4:00 in the morning, and I don't have to do that because at Dairy Queen it don't open till 5:30. So even at the earliest, I need to be up as 5:15 because me and him both live a mile from Dairy Queen.
Right.
But when we were opening up Ranchers, I was having to get up at 4:00, and I can remember many a time when we opened up Ranchers, I'd come by and I'd see his truck still in there. I'd text him, "Hey man, you better get up, man. You better."
You're late. You're late.
You're late.
I said, "No, I'm not late. I'm just getting home."
That's
What are you
right.
late?
Yeah, because your business runs 24/7.
Yes, it does. It runs 24/7. It's never. Someone's always here. Always got someone here. Never closes. We're here all the time. It's just tough. Like my neighbor's a lawyer, and we talk all the time. Well, I ain't seen him in probably 3 months. Well, me and Christian's out in the yard. I guess maybe last weekend I got a guy coming over there who was trying to look at doing some landscaping. He comes over and goes, "Hey, is everything all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" He goes, "Man, I have not seen you in 4 months." He said, I go to work every morning at 7:00. I leave my house to go at 7:00. I go to the gym. He said, "I usually don't get home till 8:00 at night and your truck's still not there." I'm like, "Yeah."
That's right.
Come down 1950
That's
Emory
my
Highway.
life.
I'm here. I'm here at 1950 Emory Highway.
And speaking of 1950 Emory Highway, so we're getting toward the end of the podcast, and I just kind of want to let's kind of walk through. So now you are the owner of M&M Towing here on Emory Highway. You started working alongside of Mike Adams in Macon about
23 years ago.
23 years ago.
Yep.
And you've through that time, I guess. When you first got in with him, I mean, he had a couple of those big trucks, like one or two of the big
he had 2 trucks.
rigs.
He had 2 trucks, and it was still a hard business to run, but he had a couple trucks and just trying to get his name out there. And I can't say anything bad about Mike. Mike's a hell of a record person. As far as the out there working in the field, I would put Mike still to this day against anybody. But
Right.
the business side, he just needed help with the business side.
Right.
That's where me and him kind of got great, because I was more good at the business side, like mechanicking.
Right.
I'm no mechanic.
Right.
You ask me about a car, I'm like,
I don't know.
You drive a race car. You're right. I drive a car. I don't know shit about no race car.
Right.
Nothing. I can change the plugs in them. I usually break the ends off and get cussed
Right.
out by Craig.
That's right.
But, Mike's got to the point where, he was getting to the age where he just wanted to maybe just step back and,
Right.
retire and kind of enjoy life. And it kind of just opportunity that come along. And it wasn't nothing I planned. And I really didn't honestly want to do it. But for some reason I did. And, here we are now. We got to just go with it, make the best of it, and hope this thing just keeps going good. It's doing good, though. We're happy.
Well, I mean, as we watched you guys grow, I mean, Mike, for anybody that don't know, M&M Towing is I guess one of the longest running big truck wrecker companies here in town.
Yeah.
They're better known for, like, if a log truck flips over or whatever like that, but they do have the small trucks too. But so when Marcus is talking about, Mike is the more mechanical, go climb out there and work the truck guy.
Right.
You had kind of mastered because this is the important part, because when I was in the body shop, Dan was better at going out and looking at seeing if a rail needed replaced on a car. But I knew how to do it on paper.
You knew how to bill it.
I knew how to bill it.
And get all of
you
it.
knew how to bill it. That's what you had figured out, right?
Exactly right. I figured it out. I had an insurance guy one time tell me, he said, "Man, what you doing is highway robbery." I said, "I'm just giving it back to you."
There you go.
I said, "What you doing to me is highway robbery."
Exactly.
You charge me $55,000 for a truck that ain't worth $20 for some insurance. I'm passing it right back to you.
Exactly.
We can get on the same page now, but until then, I got to get mine like you do.
That's right. And so that's how I saw Marcus. Marcus was always the me of the record business. I knew that part of it. I couldn't wipe, Bondo on a fender to save my life, but I knew how to bill for it, and I knew how to explain the process.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And Marcus, you could see him on any of those wreck scenes. He'd have that. He knew that he had to document with pictures.
Yep.
That 3 records.
Still doing it.
That 3 records are on scene. That he had to do a hazardous material cleanup. You have to document all that kind of thing.
Everything's documented now. Everything.
Because without pictures, it didn't happen.
Pictures don't happen. No.
And sometimes with pictures, it didn't happen.
Mike's thing way back then Mike would say work a wreck. Just say Mike would say, "Okay, we turned over Justin Kelly's truck, $3,500."
Right.
Well, the insurance company would call or somebody, "Well, where do you get the $3,500 from?" Mike go, "Well, that's because that's damn what I wanted it to be.
Right.
$3,500. I'm like, "Mike, just let me handle it."
Right.
So I would go in there and, okay, Mike, $3,500. Okay, we had this wrecker out here got $1,000 for 2 hours, and this roll back here got this, or we were cleaning up this for $500. I said, just make it equal $3,500.
Right.
I don't care how you do it. Just
itemize it and make it look good.
I said, Mike, itemize and make anything look better than just a number.
Just a number.
Just a number.
With
So,
you talking about that truck flipping over, I'm going to tell you the craziest story that I can remember about M&M Towing and something that had flipped over, and then maybe Marcus has something else that was kind of funny or kind of interesting, and we can leave it on that. That'll put us at the hour show. But I can remember about 8 years ago, right before Thanksgiving, there was a truck that had flipped over right out here on the interstate that was slap full, Laura. It was slap full to the top, a 53-foot long trailer of racks of ribs. Okay,
baby back ribs.
Baby back
Good
ribs.
Baby back ribs.
Yes.
And the once it had flipped over, that company had told Marcus, "We don't want it. Y'all throw it away. Do whatever we need to do." Marcus and them, they haul that big old truck full of ribs out here to Emory Highway.
Yes, we did.
Everybody that we knew was out here pulling ribs off of that truck. And everybody that we knew ate ribs for 2 years at every single holiday.
You could not buy a deep freezer in Georgia.
Right.
Everybody, I always ask the company, I'm like, "Hey, I have a lot of churches that'll call and say, hey, if you get a wreck, we have a food bank. Do you mind?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't mind at all." So it's still now, if I have a wreck and the insurance company says, "Hey, dispose of," I say, "Well, there's churches, food banks. Do you mind?" They 99% of the time say, "Yeah, go ahead. You can dispose of it, give it to them, whatever you do." So we told the customer this, the broker. She's like, "No, man, y'all can do whatever you want." I made 2 or 3 phone calls. The next thing I know, them jokers were lined up down Emory Highway. I'm like, oh my God.
I remember walking in and people were like climbing over the top because the very end of the trailer, they had gotten warm.
You're right.
Okay, they were frozen ribs, but the last little stack of them was warm. The rest of them were ice cold. There were people going over the top of this mountain of baby back ribs, and we were all working together to shuffle them out the back, man. And I mean,
You wouldn't believe it. I mean, that's no lie. There was hundreds of people here.
I mean,
They were probably gone in 3 hours.
yeah, 40,000 pounds of baby back ribs.
Yes.
Right before it was right before July 4th.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah, it was
Independence
There you
Day.
go.
Everybody we knew had ribs.
They did.
Can you remember any kind of crazy thing? Have you had any kind of
The craziest thing I can remember, which ain't really got a lot to do with the record side of it, when I first started with Mike, anybody knows Mike, he had this 2004 Ford F-350.
with
red truck.
7 million miles on it? Yes.
7 million plus miles on it. So we go out here, there's a Georgia Power truck stuck on a power line. So I'm like, Mike goes, just ride out here. I wasn't even working here then. I was like, I'll ride out with you, man. It'll be fun, you know. Me and Mike were kind of friends, but not like best friends. I just come by to talk to him about a race or something. We're street racing out here. I was telling him about it.
Right.
So we go out, go way out by him. Well, anyway, get out there, and there's the power lines. He goes, I said, well, how are you going to get this thing? This thing's buried. I'm talking about the Georgia Power truck, bucket truck. It's like, can't see but buried top of the tire. He was like, shit, I'll show you what I'm going to do. He gets this chain. Swear to God, as I'm sitting here, man, it's probably 40 foot long chain. Big half-inch chain.
Right.
He hooks it to his bumper, and then he hooks it on the front of the Georgia Power truck. I'm like, what the hell is he fitting to do? He said, get in. I'm like, all right. Next thing I know, man, he stomps this damn truck. We are probably running 50. By the time this chain hooks, man, it hits this truck, and I thought he broke my damn neck. Hey, I thought he ripped his truck in half. He talking about that truck didn't budge. Didn't budge this truck. After about 10 times, he finally got the truck out. And I think I still got neck problems from it. So I finally said, hey, Mike, I'm going to stand out here and watch you. You go ahead and do it. He says, all right, whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
He'd back up and haul butt again.
But he got that Georgia Power truck out.
He got it out.
Oh, yeah.
He got it out.
Does anybody have that red truck? Is it still around?
It's still around. Yeah, he still got it. Matthew drives it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Laura, it has been through the gates of hell, and it is still running. It's got that old 7.3 diesel in it, right? Yeah, I mean, it's one of them old Fords that you can't kill. And Mike, before Mike stopped driving it, like I said, it probably had 7 million miles on it.
Hey, and when he done this, you know, he bent the bed and all on the truck, pulling this truck out, right? So we take it to Dan at H&H.
Right.
Dan fixes that, the old body, you know, the body shop down there where Jeff's standing right now. Dan fixed this thing. I'm like, damn, man, that thing looks good. He was like, yeah, my truck looking good. So Dan said, hey, the truck's ready. We said, we'll pick it up tomorrow. Well, before we picked it up, somebody wrecked, come off the bank and hit the damn truck.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes, come
hit the side of the truck again.
They come off of Gray Highway and hit the side of Mike's truck again. It was brand new and shiny.
Brand new and shiny. They bit the bed again. I was like, oh, here we go.
Well, I really appreciate you, Marcus. You know, I know that this is kind of a tough thing to sometimes have to come talk about things like, you know, with your dad and stuff and bring back old memories and talk about, you know, but, you know, we got to talk about fun things. And you got to be, you're an inspiration to people. You're tied in with a lot of good people. Everybody that I've met, I was trying to name drop every person that I've met, and I have, except Chris Patrick. Yeah, I didn't say anything about Chris Patrick, but he is a cool guy, one of the coolest guys I've ever met. And he is a retired race car driver, right?
Super good guy. Chris Patrick, believe it or not, is actually one of the first ones. He was kind of the invention part of this fuel tech deal that every race car runs now.
Right.
Chris was like the beginning person to figure all this stuff out. Chris is like Craig, another hell of a mechanic. Shitty race car driver. I used to bust his ass every time we get there. Me and him used to argue all the time. I'd tear his ass up. I got a video. If you could put on your podcast. Hey, we're in Commerce. I know this is over. We're in Commerce. We're number 16 qualifier. Chris was number 1.
Right.
We had Chris first round. I said, I ain't worried. I'm going to tear his ass up. Hey, Chris had this big old guy named Anthony was his main tuner.
Right.
I got the video. I outrun Chris, and you see Anthony standing there looking like this, and then my light comes on, and Anthony goes, oh. Like somebody just drilled him right in his chest. If y'all just let Chris tell you, but I got the video. It's
I'm going to make sure I put the video up.
Yeah, I'll get that video and send it to you, man.
The very first time I ever met Chris Patrick, so he has, Laura, the only condo or barn dominium on Lake Oconee, right? The only one. That somehow, some way, he got it passed. But the first time I ever met the man, he was having a Christmas party. He was dressed up like Santa. He had a big old gray beard. a slim Santa, real in shape Santa. But then I walk onto the back porch with Craig, and there is a Z28 Camaro on the back porch porch of the house. These are cool people to hang around. I promise you.
They're fun.
Well, guys, once again, just like we ended every time, we want to tell you that if you can do something good, you should do something good. Laura, you got anything?
I just want to say it's been a pleasure hanging out and talking to you and learning a little more about drag racing. I've been to the drag races a couple of times, but I'm kind of a NASCAR girl. Do you ever go to NASCAR?
I've actually, believe it, I've only been to one NASCAR race. I had a customer that got tickets, Centos. They gave me tickets, and we went about 3 years ago. I enjoyed it. It's just so long, I'm just I'm like one of those people that can't sit still.
Well, I was going to say, so when you get in the car and you step on the gas, your race is how long?
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
If you go to NASCAR, it's at least 3 hours.
Yeah, I know, right? I always think, man, what are the guys doing? They got to pee.
They just pee on themselves.
Oh, Lord.
From what I've been told.
I'd be in trouble.
But I mean, in that 3 seconds that you're going, you might pee on yourself too when you see
when you're flying through the air.
Yeah,
you might do that. Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate y'all, and we'll look forward to next week. We'll have Miss Laura's episode on the second part of Meet the Host. We are going to go behind the scenes. We knew there was a little something missing when we filmed it. There was something that we needed to do, and so we're going to actually go in there while they're filming their morning show.
Hey, we're gonna go in
live, and we're going to do it right there at WDEN in Macon. So next week, be tuned in for Laura, and we appreciate y'all finding out a lot about the Axeman. Thank you, Axeman.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
you.
No rules when you come out my way. That's why my field stays packed on Fridays. We hunting, fishing, good living, just soaking up every country second we're giving.